Hey everyone, Marine here for Sunny Studio. I am back with my first monochrome card of the season with a vintage/sepia look, and to make it I used the new crisp autumn stamp set, the cute kitty from Bewitching, and my sentiment is from Words of Gratitude. I started by stamping the pumpkins on Lawn Fawn paper bag cardstock. They have 3 layers, and as you can see, each layer has a number to know the order we must stamp the images. And for this first batch of pumpkins, I'm using 1B with 1C and 2B with 2C. And I used 3 Lawn Fawn dye inks, pizza crust, dough and walnut. I stamped 1B and 2B using pizza crust. I stamped them 3 times and rotated my paper to stamp more pumpkins. Next I placed 1C and 2C on top of the first layer. And here is a guide to position the stamps at the right spot. It's very helpful and you can get it for free on the Crisp Autumn Shop page. The link is down below. So I stamped those second layers using dough ink. Next I positioned the stems 1D and 2D and stamped them using dough ink again. And finally, I placed the second parts of those stems, 1E and 2E, and stamped them using walnut ink. So here's a close-up look at this first batch of pumpkins. And to bring more contrast, I stamped a second batch using the 3 layers of pumpkin stems. And I used the same inks and cardstock as before to do this. I stamped 1A and 2A using pizza crust ink. I used the guide I showed you before on my phone to place 1B and 2B. And I stamped those layers using dough ink. For the third layers, 1C and 2C, I used walnut ink. Next I stamped the first stem layers, 1D and 2D using walnut ink. And for the second stem layers, 1E and 2D, I used Lawn Fawn black licorice ink. Next I stamped 2 chestnut leaves using 3B, 3C and 3D. I stamped 3B using pizza crust ink. I used dough ink to stamp 3C. And for the last layer, 3D, I used walnut ink. Next I stamped some additional images. I stamped them on the same cardstock using potting soil ink by Ranger. And I colored them using brown alcohol markers. And I didn't show it at the beginning, but the sunflowers are from Happy Harvest. Next, I created a very simple background. I cut a 5.5 by 4.25 inches paperback panel, and to get something else than a flat panel, on the long side I scored lines every half an inch. So here's the result, and then I used the vintage photo and ground espresso oxide inks to add contrast on the edges and texture as well. I cut the images using the coordinating dies, and once my panel was dry, I attached everything using foam squares and glue dots. The last final step was to stamp my sentiment above the images. I stamped it using potting soil ink to read, "I'm so thankful for your friendship." And that's it. My first monochrome card of the year is done, and I hope that you like it. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Have a very nice day. Bye!